Hey, is this thing on? Hey guys, welcome to Amber in Wonderland. After 3 years of RV living, I have officially decided to start my YouTube blog. We are currently traveling the US and are in Chicago, Illinois. However, before we started traveling full-time, we were actually stationary for 2 years, living on the beach in San Clemente, California, since my husband was still active duty in the Marines. We had built such an amazing community here, and it was the only home our daughter Journey had ever known. It was bittersweet leaving such an amazing place, but we knew we wanted to travel. So when my husband medically retired from the Marines in February of this year, we left our beautiful oasis on the beach to travel the U.S. full-time. Since leaving our home on the beach in California, we have traveled through 9 different states, and I will get you guys caught up to what we've done in each one. Our first and longest stay in a state, Arizona. My family lives in Arizona, so we stayed here for about 6 weeks to visit, which included taking a family trip to one of my favorite places, Sedona, Arizona. We experienced our longest length of boondocking ever, which was about 2 weeks. To my surprise, I actually really enjoyed boondocking and having to limit my usage of water and electricity. While staying here, we enjoyed taking morning hikes and exploring Out of Africa Wildlife Safari Park, where we were able to hand feed giraffes. On our way to New Mexico, we also stopped at the Petrified Forest and learned about the incredible history of the national park. Which brings us to our next state, New Mexico. Here we experienced our first flat tire on the RV, which was a learning experience, and the reason why we always travel with an extra tire attached to a rim now. We stayed in Albuquerque for about 2 weeks and explored Los Poblanos Ranch, where Journey got to hand feed chickens for the first time. Since we love hiking, we took a trip to a local petroglyph site that was home to over 4,000 drawings. From New Mexico, we made our way into Colorado. One of our most memorable stops was Garden of the Gods, and Journey meeting her aunt for the first time. We also explored these really cool cliff dwellings in Manitou. I also don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but anyways, we also went and visited Seven Falls before heading into Wyoming. Wyoming was one of our shortest stays of just 4 days. While we were here, we actually visited Terry Bison Ranch. Here we took a train to go hand feed buffalo. It was a first time for me and Jalen and for Journey as well. Although the weather wasn't best while we were there, we made the most of it. After leaving Wyoming, we took a pit stop in Nebraska, which wasn't initially on our list of states to visit, but we were so close we had to. We stayed at a local state park and Journey rode a pony for the first time. Our next state was South Dakota, where we visited Custer State Park, which ended up being my favorite activity that we did while in South Dakota. The park had so many different things to offer. We really enjoyed watching the prairie dogs. Journey thought the noise they made was just the funniest thing ever. We also got to see and feed burro that were in the park, which we researched ahead of time and made sure to bring our own carrots. The park also had many different lakes that you could explore. We ended up stopping here and letting Journey get out and play for a little bit before we took the hour drive back to our campsite. We also stopped at Badlands while we were there, where we saw more buffalo and prairie dogs. Overall, the experience was beautiful, but I still preferred Custer State Park over Badlands. We of course stopped to visit Mount Rushmore as well. We took the trail around the monument and quickly learned there was many stairs you had to climb to get back, but overall had a really great time. Our next stop was supposed to be North Dakota. Unfortunately, we didn't make it too far before having our first major incident. So the back tire ended up popping, causing the other tire to pop because of the weight of it. It couldn't bear it. And when we tried to pull off the side of the road, it actually dug us into the sand on the side of the road. So we got stuck because the axle was dragging on the ground. We literally broke down in the middle of nowhere. The nearest town had a population of 49, and it took over a day for us to find a tow truck that was able to pull the sides of our RV. The whole ordeal was one of my worst nightmares coming true. Luckily, we ran into good Samaritans that were very helpful. We unfortunately had to be towed back to Rapid City, South Dakota, where we had just came from. But the RV was able to be repaired within a day. The total of the repairs and towing came to about $5,000, but luckily our insurance paid us back. We spent the day at Old McDonald's farm while the RV was being repaired. Journey was able to give milk to baby lambs and feed the goats on the farm. Despite our unfortunate circumstances with the RV breaking down, we actually really enjoyed having an extra day in South Dakota. Once the RV was fixed, we headed to North Dakota, where Journey actually started walking by herself for the first time, which ended up being the highlight of our trip. We did stop in Jamestown while we were there and saw the world's largest buffalo and wandered through Frontier Village, which is like an old tombstone where everything was historic and like an old Wild West village. They had lots of kid-friendly activities like this cute play kitchen that Journey enjoyed before heading into Minnesota, where we met my brother and mom who flew in from the West Coast. During their visit, we went and saw Minnehaha Falls, which was less than a quarter-mile of a walk to see the falls. We also stayed at our first resort while in Minnesota, where we enjoyed the amenities like swimming in a splash pond, the bounce pad, and we also rented a golf cart to get around the campgrounds. After that, we headed into Milwaukee and did the Riverwalk and explored the Harley-Davidson Museum, where we learned the history about Harley-Davidson and got to see every model of motorcycles that were ever made by the company. We also took a trip to Wisconsin Dells, which is one of the largest water parks in America. Journey had a blast getting to play in the water. Well, now that you guys are all caught up, you can see that our last 5 months on the road have definitely been an adventure. Lots of learning, lots of different experiences, and I want to share more of those with you guys, so be sure to like and subscribe. I will be posting weekly from now on to share those adventures with you.